Just then, the dragon rose high and prepared a mighty blast. But Yugi cast a series of shields to protect himself as the dragon spewed the energy blast. Yugi wondered how he could lure it towards the ground and soon realized that his shields were getting weaker. At that moment, he noticed the divine strike ability and raised his hand, unleashing a terrible blast on the dragon that sent crashing to the ground. Hoping to utilize the advantage, he mounted Proud Wolf, and they started charging at the beast. As Yugi stabbed its neck, he sliced it with Hellfire of Demise and successfully split its head, causing it to explode into red cells before vanishing. So with the dragon eliminated, Yugi decided to head for the town. On the following day, when Ken appeared, he told him that the purple skies have cleared away and wondered who managed to defeat the dragon. However, he thought Yugi probably did and thanked him for his help at the cafeteria. Tina began telling Yugi that they would be recognized as national heroes for offering to battle the dragon, even though they never actually did anything. Hearing her words, Yugi thought they were a pair of useless weaklings and wondered how they've managed to survive in the forests, as Lisa wondered what he intends to do now. Yugi revealed that he would be ditching their useless SH hole, but has no idea where else to go. So Lisa suggested that he heads for Ricardo, a town on the west side of the forest, saying that they serve all the best food in the world, unlike their useless junk towns that evening. As Yugi began to leave, they waved him goodbye, hoping he would survive on his own, but he left his slimes to watch over them as they began traveling through the forest. Drad appeared on the system and summoned him immediately when he arrived. She revealed that special mushrooms have started growing on the spot where the dragon was slain, and said that she needs his help in creating a special potion, as he tried asking why she appeared from a tree, and revealed that she can make sage potions with the red mushrooms and produce mana restoratives with the blue mushrooms. When Yugi wondered what exactly the blue mushroom does, Drad told him that it revives magic powers. However, she discovered the potion was having an unusual color and revealed that something was wrong with the mushrooms. She said that they probably packed too much magical powers, but was hoping that she could fix the remaining mushrooms with some clear water. Deciding to help her, Yugi created a distiller with his barrier magic and told her to boil some water until it was clear. At that moment, Drad remembered the very first time they met after he first reincarnated. He found her unconscious on a tree and revived her with magic conveyance as he told her that he transferred some of his magic into her. He demanded to know what happened, so she revealed that her power was drained away by a magic stone and said that she could never leave the forest. So immediately, Yugi activated a dispel curse and turned the stone into a rock. Just then, monsters tried coming out of it, but he activated an anti-magic barrier and unleashed Hellfire of Decimation, burning them instantly until they vanished. To show her appreciation for his help, Dad summoned several dad flowers from the tree roots, saying that she owes her life to him. As Yugi wondered why the potion looks like magic stones, Drad revealed that they were fused with Dragon's Grace, a special magic power that can only be found at the spot of a dead dragon. This special power makes the mushroom sprout, and she told him that Dragon's Grace can be used for both good and evil. She said that it could heal all kinds of wounds, and could even summon any kind of monsters. Just as the slimes finished purifying the water, Drad mixed it with the potion, and it turned blue. Instantly excited that it finally worked, she thanked him for helping her, realizing the potion would come in handy. So a few minutes later, she gave him some sage potions and mana restoratives, just as he asked, saying that she would be returning to the forest, and vanished before his eyes. As they continued their travels, Yugi realized that the fog was covering their path. So proud, Wolf revealed that some humans were close by and began following the scent towards a new path. Shortly, they arrived at an old village and wondered if this was Ricardo. As Yugi tried looking around, he noticed the fed villagers and thought their creepy smiles was as disgusting as their huts. Just then, the village head appeared before him and wondered how he found his way here. But Yugi said it was an accident as he decided to invite him for a meal. He said he wishes to fill him up for his journey, however. As Yugi spotted the disgusting food, he told him that he wasn't hungry, realizing the food was probably from the dumpster. As the chief wondered if he has a reason for entering the village. Yugi revealed that he was heading for Ricardo before missing his way. Just then, he noticed the creepy villagers staring at him from the window, and as the chief tried saying that they were surprised to have a visitor, Yugi began to leave, having grown sick of their creepy, disgusting faces as they continued through the forest. Yuji thought they would soon arrive at Ricardo, however. When they came out of the forest, they found themselves inside of Blizzliard and wondered if they were in a different world. So as they continued through the cold, Yuji decided to activate an insulation barrier for warmth after a few hours. They finally arrived at Ricardo, and the guards told him that the blizzard mysteriously started a few days ago. When they wondered why he came, he revealed that he was here for some food. So inside the town, he tried finding a restaurant, but realized the streets were deserted and that even the waters were frozen as he finally arrived at one. The lady told him that they were closed up for the day and were more concerned about staying warm than making food, as Yuji thought the food must definitely be delicious. He wondered if the only thing they needed was firewood, but Lily told him that it was rarer to find than her father, who walked out on her. However, Yugi ignored her depressing because he wanted to eat the food already, so he headed off to the forests, hoping to make some firewood. He summoned an axe, and with combat art, he chopped down a dozen trees with a single slash. Within a few minutes, he already chopped them into logs, and as he activated the slime, moist moisture absorbed skill. His slimes warmed all the logs until they were dry, so he returned to the restaurant like every other hopeless fat ass, and Lily wondered why his wood was so small. However, Yugi said that her ugly face was why her father walked out on her. What did he say? He asked if she could cook with it, so she hurried off to find the chef. By the time he arrived, he said the log was too dry, and that it would burn down the entire place if they tried to cook with it before they knew it. Yuji activated his slime moisturization spell, and returned it to the chef. At that moment, he realized that it was exactly what they need, and as they lit the stove, he promised to make Yugi a special meal. His words were the best news Yugi has ever had, so he commanded his slime to spew the remaining logs. Immediately, it vomited them into a large pile, and as Yuji activated slime moisturization, the slimes warmed up the logs. At that instant, just then, his stomach growled, so the chief decided to prepare him a meal for his hard work. Before long, he served him grilled steak, and the taste sent Yuji straight into the heavenly realm when he was done. He thanked them for the food, but the chef told him that this wasn't even close to being their best dish. Excited by the thought, Yugi wondered how it was possible and promised to return the next day for a taste of the food. However, Lily began telling him that they could not use up all the firewood, seeing as the entire town has no wood to heat up their homes. At that moment, Yugi thought this was his chance to impress her and declared that he would come back unlike her father. Swearing to come back with logs bigger than his all wood shortly, he arrived at the Adventurers Guild and realized that the only thing on their wanted lists were firewood. As he offered to take on the easy task, the mistress told him to meet the firewood leader for instructions. So as the wood instructor Wadka looked at his ID, he welcomed him, saying that they can hardly meet the demands of the town to deliver 5 tons of firewood every day. He said that only their village has been having the blizzard, and told him that the earlier village he came across has always been deserted. Yuji thought it was definitely mysterious, and decided to begin his work as Wadka. Began saying that he looks too skinny and useless to actually do anything. Yuji chopped several trees with a single slash. In an instant, he began cutting them up into logs and stacked them up into a pile. Just then, his slimes began warming them up, and Wadka thought that Yuji must certainly be an alien at the end of the day. Yuji prepared several piles of logs enough to last the entire town for a few days. However, he thought it wasn't enough and went on a chopping spree, slicing nearly all the trees in the forest and turning them into more logs. So with his impressive work, he made a lot of money from the guild and even passed the night inside a comfortable room the next day at the restaurant as he was served a new meal. The taste sent him into nirvana, and he thought he was floating in the clouds. However, the chef revealed that it wasn't even his best dish, and Lily said that the Risha herb that was used in cooking their best meal is being devoured by monsters, and that they could only make a new dish if all the monsters were gone, without saying a single word. Yugi began heading out, ready to annihilate every monster for a taste of this food shortly. He commanded his minions to scout the woods for the beasts, and as his slimes came across a monster boar, Yuji activated a spell, burning the beast instantly. Before long, he noticed a mysterious stone, and as he decided to have a look at it, Drad told him that she could sense traces of magic from inside of it. As Yuji touched the stone, they discovered that it was absorbing his magic, and he said it was probably Dragon Grace, the powerful magic that creates cursed magic stones. Drad revealed that the stone was absorbing all the magic within the area, and Yuji thought the disappearance of magic must have certainly caused the blizzard, realizing it was the only way to stop the snow. Yuji cast an anti-magic barrier on the stone and expelled the curse, turning it into a rock. Instantly, within a few hours, he had expelled more than 100 magical stones around the forest and marked the areas using thoughtography. Just as they arrived at the middle of the forest, he thought some huge trees were intentionally left untouched and said that they were probably protecting a secret entrance as he commanded Drad to withdraw. She wondered what he intends to do, so he told her that he would burn up all the trees before him as she agreed to his plan. Saying that it was certainly the right thing to do, he unleashed his hellfire of demise across the forest, burning all the trees in a mighty explosion. So at the center of the hole, they discovered a secret entrance, and Yuji revealed that he would certainly enter the underground to discover who the enemies were as Yuji destroyed the entrance. They discovered a secret tunnel, and he descended inside. Before long, he noticed a huge machine and realized that he was inside a large factory. As he spotted more machines, he wondered if the magic stones were created here. Just then, two losers hurried inside, wondering why the machines were no longer working. They thought they must have been destroyed by the explosion in the forest, and hurried out to inform their leader. As Yuji arrived at a passage, he realized that he could be easily spotted, so he cast monster stealth on his slimes to make them invisible, and they continued on their own. So as he returned to the forest, the slimes revealed that they have found the men, and they squeezed their way inside, jumping across the passage until they arrived at a dead end. Just then, they noticed two levers, and Yuji figured they should probably be pulled at the same time, so as the slimes pushed down on the levers, the door opened at that instant. Shortly, they discovered a ladder and realized this was the end of the factory, so they started making their way up. At the same time, Yuji arrived on a cliff and realized that the old creepy village was right before him. In the village, his slimes began listening to the mysterious men, and Yuji realized that the useless creeps were pretending to be villagers so that they would forge magic stones in the underground. When the leader Javier discovered that their curse well was already destroyed by an explosion, he began telling his men that their curse well has been destroyed and thought a meteor had crashed into it with the entire factory screwed. He said that they must retrieve all the magic stones and abandon the village immediately. When one of the men thought they would be spotted moving around the forest, Javier told them to execute all the witnesses they come across since their plans were ruined already, and thought the village was of no use as a cover as the men headed out. Yuji commanded his slimes to surround the village, thinking some innocent villagers may have been captured already. However, they discovered the village was deserted and that the ugly group of wannabe Illuminati were all that remained. So as the slimes made their way to the library, Yuji told them to consume all the books, so they started devouring them like hungry vermin at the same time in the forest. Yugi noticed two useless dudes from the evil group, so he cast magical nets and successfully restrained them. However, as they realized they've been exposed, they screamed like moronic brainwashed disciples and he-seed themselves at that instant. Just then, the slimes found a sealed entrance, and Yuji realized it must be an important room. So he directed the slimes to stand before the candles and blew them out with Wind Slicer at that moment. The door opened, revealing a room full of treasure, and Yuji realized the useless men were probably selling all the magic stones for gold. Just then, a member arrived and discovered their treasure room has been swept clean. So as the rest of the Illuminati realized this, they immediately discovered that the presence of their other members have vanished from the forest. At that moment, Javier revealed that their curse well was not destroyed by a meteorite after all, but rather by a new enemy. Afraid they would be captured, and man wondered why they had not been acted already. So, Javier said that the enemy probably discovered that their deaths would activate the cleansing flame and would destroy the entire world. However, Yuji was only just discovering this and realized that eliminating them all was not an option after all. As Javier decided to suggest a plan, he drew his dagger, saying that destroying the world was the better thing to do. His useless disciples thought he was probably right and decided to draw their daggers, so at the same time, they screamed a useless chant about cleansing the world and niff their own ass. At that moment, the cleansing fire lost control and the ground began to quake as Yuji realized it would soon erupt. He He covered his slimes inside a barrier sphere and launched them out of the village like a good father determined to protect his babies. So immediately, he activated a series of anti-magic barriers to contain the explosion. Just then, a green flame spurted from the ground, obliterating the entire village, and began destroying the barrier as Yuji realized it wouldn't hold. He started searching for a strong barrier to contain the flame, but his walls began to collapse. Right then, he discovered the perfect cover and made a combination of barriers into total isolation array as he activated the magic. A dark shield covered up the flame, but the fierce wind nearly blew him away, and his MP began decreasing like it was on a speed timer. Even so, the explosion only increased and nearly destroyed even this barrier, but he managed to hold it off until it erupted towards the sky and formed a mighty cloud, with the world safe again. Yugi noticed his MP was in the negatives and realized that he was close to getting sent off to another EII that night. When they arrived at the village, he discovered the people were waiting for him, and as he wondered why they stayed up past their bedtime vodka, told him that they noticed the mighty explosion in the forest, and Lily revealed that they were afraid he may have been crushed by a meteorite. Yugi told them that he was happy to see the town safe, so Vodka told him that the meteorite probably stopped the blizzard at that moment. Yugi noticed that the frozen waters was starting to melt, and by the next day, he realized the weather was as warm as summer as Vodka invited him for breakfast. He said that they intend to celebrate the end of the winter, so inside the restaurant, Yugi discovered that he was being celebrated as the guest of honor, and Vodka told him that the townspeople were happy that he provided them with firewood during the blizzard. Just then, Lily appeared before his eyes and thanked him for eliminating the monster boar. So with the beast dead, they've managed to stock up the best Risha herbs, and before long, she served him a special treat for his help as Yuji took a bite. The beautiful taste of the food gave him the hardest climax in his entire life, and they realized that even Lily couldn't make him climax harder. When he woke up that evening, he decided to read the scrolls from the abandoned village, but the words vanished before his eyes, however. Only a single scroll stood out, and he realized it was a list of people that the Blue Moon of Salvation group were trying to eliminate. Meanwhile, in a nearby city, 2 assassins annihilated a bunch of people, and a man called Yuki discovered that E-Name was next on the list. So a few days later, they began spying on him from a mountain, wondering. Having uncovered a sinister plot and saved the town, Yuji braces himself for the next chapter in his adventure. The challenges ahead will test his strength, resolve, and the bond with his newfound allies.